Sam. I'm talking about the new moon in Cancer on Tuesday, August 2nd. It's going to be in the Nakshatra of Pushya. Pushya is ruled by the god called Brihaspati, who is the priest, the Vedic priest. So the new moon cycle, of course, the sun and moon come together at that time, and it shows a 30-day cycle that will be related at this time to themes that have to do with Cancer, which is ruled by the moon. It's about our feelings, our sense of security, emotional security, and things that are hopefully deeper than just the surface of the mind, which is the emotions. So going deeper than just the emotional mind will be important for that 30 days beginning August 2nd. And we will also have several planets in Leo at that time. That would be Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, and Rahu are in Leo on August 2nd. So this shows that in the midst of feelings and really connecting with our heart and emotions, there's going to be quite a lot of desire for structure, stability, especially looking to the power structures in our life, like the government and other things like that. It'll be a time where we'll also be looking to really exert our personal power, a lot of that in the midst of wanting to feel, really, sink into the depth of our heart. So this Cancer cycle will also be greatly influenced by the qualities of the Nakshatra Pushya, and Pushya is, as I said, ruled by the god Brihaspati. Brihaspati is also the priest, and it shows this quality of Cancer that is very traditional forms of love and worship, which is very important in Cancer, that we be devoted to something deeper than just the surface of the world, than just the rajasic or the surface of life. We need to sink deeper into it, sink deeper into the heart, and the way to do that is through pure forms of love that often takes the form of devotion. And Brihaspati as the deity is also, again, it's related to gurus and teachers. So it's a great time to really connect with your teachings and the pure teachings. See, because that love relationship with teachers and gurus is much more pure than with our romantic partners or our friends, even, although our friends, there can be a quality of devotion there, but also like the quality of love that we have with our children and other forms of pure love where we're not just looking to get something, where we're not just looking to make sure that there's equality. That kind of love is related to Libra, where we're looking to share and honor another person's wishes equal to our own. In Cancer, that's not the equation. In Cancer, it's how much love we can give. And it's the part of us that just feels good when we give all the love we have. And we can accommodate anyone else's needs. And we gladly accommodate their needs. Like caring for pets and animals is another great thing to do in Cancer. And again, even with children, when I say Cancer is related to children, it's actually little children. When they need our total devotion and they can't maintain their part in the relationship. We don't hold a child accountable for mutual respect when they're too young to understand that concept. But what happens even with parents and children is as the child's mind becomes more sophisticated, the parent starts to hold the child accountable for mutual respect as a way to teach the child. Like you wouldn't hold a 3-year-old accountable for something that you would expect a 15-year-old to understand. And if you do, then you're going to damage the child. So the evolving parent-child relationship is actually related to Libra, but the parent still retains a pure love for the child that never changes. But again, as child becomes an adult, more of a Libra relationship develops. The reason an adult child and its parent gets along is because of the Libra connection, not the Cancer connection. And you can see where perhaps an adult parent and a child don't get along on the Libra level, but the parent will at least love the child on the Cancer level still. So you can understand this is what I'm saying. That selfless love that only wants to give. So we find that same relationship, for instance, with our pets, when we give love, and especially with our gurus and our teachers in the form of our devotion. We're devoted to them. We trust them. And it's not necessarily a guru like, like I have a guru, Ammachi, and there are great gurus and teachers. In fact, some people even call me guru because I'm a teacher. It's not that so much, although that relationship also has that quality of just being devoted. But it's also in the form of like being devoted to the teachings themselves, like religion, and something where we bring the purity of our heart to the table. And that's what the parent brings when they're taking care of the young child. That's what we bring when we're taking care of our pets. That's what we bring, or we should bring, when we come before our gurus. We trust them. They've earned the trust. They can also break the trust. This is why one of the biggest bonds that get broken is also a parent-child, a teacher-student. If the teacher violates that trust, which they can, it's some of the deepest wounds a person has. When you trusted a teacher and they violated it because of their human frailty or their lust or other kinds of things like that, it can damage us the most. It's almost like when our parent lets us down. And we come into the world having that reverence for our parents, and then we slowly get disappointed. My guru Amma talks a lot about how we become disappointed in life and how we need to forgive people. I'm paraphrasing very much, but she basically comes in and says that we all, when we're younger, as our mind starts to develop, our parents are like God to us. And then we all slowly get disappointed by our parents because we realize they're not God. They're not in control. They don't know everything. When we're a young child and they've taken care of us, they are God to us. It's like, without you, I wouldn't live. I couldn't live without you. And so our mind is deeply conditioned to say, okay, there is something here that's bigger than me, that cares for me and protects me and loves me unconditionally. And then as our mind gets more sophisticated, we see that entity, those parents, we see that they don't have all the answers. And we grow up first thinking that they do. And all of us have gone through a deep disappointment in our parents. Even if our parents were great, and I'm not saying we carry it around consciously, but we don't remember when we used to think, wow, they know everything. That's why we ask them every question, and we soon realize they don't have the answers. So we look for something else. Oh, my parents don't, you have the answers. Oh, I have the answers myself. I don't need anyone. And then that doesn't work. And eventually we have to return to God. And basically the point is that our desire to look for higher meaning and purpose it goes back to something very primal that we don't remember. We don't often remember that we trusted at one point. We completely trusted. We completely thought our parents had all the answers. Now again, some of us, and that it even includes if our parents were really mean and abusive and all like that, then the disappointment was much greater, and we might not ever trust again. So if we had very harsh treatment, even if we didn't, it's hard for us to trust. But our quest for meaning and purpose and what we would call God or gurus and teachers comes from trying to return to that place of innocence that was wrapped up in our parents way back before we could even remember. So that innocent heart is the heart of Cancer as well. And those qualities of Pushya Nakshatra is that it's ruled by Brahaspati, the Vedic priest. And again, it's very easy to say Vedic priest. How does priest relate to me? Well, because, again, we have the concept of priest is very ambiguous because we're used to priests, Catholic Church and all these things. We can't be cynical and expect that the only meaning behind these teachings is some modern degraded form. Okay? Imagine if the priest was actually really delivering, if he was actually a pure vessel of teaching and wisdom. Because I've seen beautiful, pure priests, and I think we all have, especially in like yoga tradition and paths that have a lot of dharma and a lot of authentic practice, like Buddhist monks and yogis and great gurus that have dedicated their life to spiritual awakening. It's that kind of energy where it's pure. You have a pure connection. It's a pure relationship with the truth. That's at the heart of Cancer. What the sign of Cancer is really about is that pure love that just wants to give, from our point of view, and that just wants to trust again in the higher wisdom and the higher purpose. And it takes a lot of courage to trust in the world, especially with all of the intensity of this year, since we had Saturn, Mars, and Scorpio. Remember way back when I talked about that and how it was going to blow up a lot of certain areas in our life and make us really face our insecurities and these things we've been trying to control. Go back and listen to those videos. Notice it. Notice the political climate in the world. Notice how we've been trying to control something that we can't control to try to manage our fears. A lot of it is fears and projections onto others, aliens, Muslims, Mexicans, and the wanting to gravitate toward excessively simple solutions to exceedingly complex problems, right? So it takes a lot of courage to trust. Forget trusting in the world. Forget trusting in leaders. Forget trusting all that. You can always trust yourself. You can always trust your heart. And unless you do, you won't trust anything else you think. If you don't trust your heart, then you're not going to trust your decisions trust the decisions that you make about anything else. So it's a time to really sink deeply into the heart, into the truth of what's in your heart, with a lot of courage and clarity and power because of those planets in Leo. 4 planets in Leo: Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, and Rahu. And with the backdrop of the planets in Scorpio, and in particular Saturn is aspecting those planets in Leo as well. So it can be a great time for a rejuvenation of discipline, especially as Saturn gets closer to Mars, which it's going to do. Mars gets closer to Saturn, which it's going to do for the next several weeks, the next month. So if you want to see how this affects your sign and all 12 signs, join the member site for just 50 cents. You get to see that for your sign. You also get daily forecasts and a lot of amazing stuff. You get twice weekly live calls, twice weekly live check-ins with me where we talk. You can ask any questions. I'll answer your questions. The member site, or the Vedic Astrology Training Lab as it's called, has really increased its membership over the last month since I vamped it up and amped it up again. So give it a try if you haven't. You'll really like it. People have been really enjoying all of the extra, especially the live portions, twice weekly live calls. Oh, there goes my light. And other things. So you can check that out as well to see how this important 30-day cycle is going to affect your sign. And it's different for every sign. Even just hearing this general forecast is powerful. But it's different for Aries, where it falls in the 4th house, than it is for Capricorn, where it falls in the 7th house, or Virgo, where it falls in the 11th house. And I'm telling you, these are the most important things. These are the most important cycles that you live your entire life, whether you know it or not. You probably tend to focus on your chart. What about me? You have to look at my specific chart to know it's not your specific chart. These cycles, this 30-day cycle affects pretty much all of the 12 signs basically the same. It shows the kind of actions you should be really focusing on. Of course, it's then separate for each individual after that. but so much can be known, so much can be understood by really diving into what this means, even just for your particular sign itself. So I invite you to try that, only 50 cents. If you don't want to stay as a member, you just cancel before that and you never get charged anything else. But for the 50 cents, you also get 2 weeks of forecasts. You also get the twice weekly check-ins. So you would have 4 check-ins with me if you decide to again cancel before the regular membership fee starts, which is not that much. It's a little more than $1 a day. Anyway, check that out. Either way, have a great 30-day Cancer cycle.